Dear children, welcome back. Do you remember the day the Pandavas walked away from their palace, leaving behind gold, power, and comfort? That day they did not just leave Hastinapur, they stepped into destiny. Today's story begins where royal roads ended and forest paths began. This is the story of 13 years of exile, years that transformed princes into legends. As the Pandavas walked out of Hastinapur, the city wept. People stood on both sides of the road, their eyes filled with tears. Come back soon. Justice will return. May Dharma protect you. Draupadi walked with her head held high, though her heart ached. Bheem clenched his fists, his anger boiling like fire. Arjun looked up at the sky, silently praying to Krishna. But Yudhishthira walked calmly. He turned to his brothers and said gently, "Brothers, today we lose comfort, but not character. A kingdom can be taken away, but Dharma cannot." Soon stone roads turned into muddy paths. Tall trees replaced palace walls. Bird calls replaced court music. The forest welcomed them. Not kindly, but honestly. Life in the forest was harsh. No silk beds, no servants, no royal meals. The Pandavas built small huts from leaves and branches. They ate fruits, roots, and whatever they could gather. Draupadi cooked with her own hands over small clay fires. At night, the cold was a bit hard. During the day, the sun burned fiercely. Sometimes hunger visited them, sometimes fear. But something else grew stronger every day, their bond. Each hardship stitched them closer together. The forest was not empty. It was alive with wisdom. The Pandavas met many great sages, Narad, Markandeya, Lomasha. They listened to stories of ancient kings, of patience, sacrifice, and victory after suffering. One day, Agyatvaas himself arrived. His eyes were full of compassion. He said, "My children, this exile is not punishment. It is preparation. Gold shines brightest after fire." He advised Arjun to seek divine weapons and prepare for the future war. With blessings from his brothers and Draupadi, Arjun set out alone toward the mighty Himalayas. High in the mountains, Arjun meditated day and night. Snow fell on his shoulders. Cold winds cut his skin. Yet he did not move. Lord Shiva appeared before him, disguised as a hunter. They fought fiercely. When Shiva revealed himself, he smiled proudly. "Your devotion and discipline are unmatched." Arjuna received the Pashupati Astra, the most powerful divine weapon. Later, Indra, his father, took him to heaven and trained him in celestial warfare. Arjun returned stronger, not just in skill, but in humility. Back in the forest, Draupadi's heart often overflowed with pain. One evening she cried out, "Why must truth suffer? Why does injustice sit on the throne?" Bheem roared, "Say the word, Draupadi. I will burn Hastinapur today." But Yudhishthira maintained, "Anger is easy, Bheem. Control is strength." Draupadi listened silently. She wiped her tears. Her suffering did not make her weak. It made her fierce in spirit. The forest tested them constantly. Once they were walking through the forest, when everyone felt thirsty. Yudhishthira saw a lake nearby and asked Nakul to get some water. Nakul went and Yaksha, a divine guardian, appeared. He asked Nakul to answer his question, and only after that he could take the water. Nakul refused and took a sip. He collapsed immediately. Everyone was waiting. Yudhishthira sent Sahadeva, Bheem, Arjun. Everyone went and didn't come back. Yudhishthira approached calmly at the end. He saw his brother lying around the lake. A Yaksha, a divine guardian, questioned him. Each answer Yudhishthira gave was filled with wisdom and truth. Pleased, the Yaksha revived his brothers. This moment proved that wisdom could save lives where strength cannot. In the forest hut, they hosted many sages. They had very little food for themselves. How do they serve it to the respectful sages? Draupadi was troubled. She prayed to Shri Krishna. Seeing their hardships, Krishna blessed Draupadi with the Akshaya Patra, a magical vessel that would never run out of food until Draupadi herself had eaten. Now no guest, sage or traveler ever left their hut hungry. This taught them a powerful lesson. Even in poverty, generosity makes one rich. The forest was also home to danger. Demons troubled sages and innocent villagers. Each time, Bheem rose like a storm. With bare hands, he defeated demons like Kirmira and Jatasura. Strength without arrogance became his identity. Years passed. The Pandavas grew leaner, wiser, stronger. The forest was no longer an enemy. It was their teacher. They learned patience from hunger, courage from fear, unity from loss, hope from despair. Draupadi became their pillar. Yudhishthira, their compass. Bhima, their shield. Arjuna, their weapon. Nakula and Sahadeva, their balance. Children, the Pandavas entered the forest as kings without crowns. They emerged as warriors with purpose. They lost a kingdom, but gained character. And that is why history remembers them. What else have we learnt today? Hardships do not break us. They shape us. Patience is greater than anger. Unity is the strongest weapon. True royalty lies in character, not crowns. Next time, children, we will enter the final year of exile, the Agyatvas, where the Pandavas must hide their identity. And one mistake could send them back to the forest again. Until then, Jai Shri Krishna. Dear children, welcome to another session. After 12 long years of forest life, the Pandavas stood at the edge of their final test. This was the most dangerous year of all. One mistake, one careless word, one moment of anger, and their exile would begin all over again. This final year was called Agyatvas, a year of living unknown, unseen, and unrecognized. The Pandavas could not fight openly. They could not reveal their strength. They could not show who they truly were. And yet, destiny was watching every step. The Pandavas gathered under a quiet tree at dawn. Yudhishthira spoke softly. We need a place where no one will suspect us, a kingdom where we can hide in plain sight. After much thought, they chose the kingdom of Matsya, ruled by King Virat, a peaceful land, busy with palace life, soldiers, farmers, dancers, and servants. But to stay hidden, each Pandav had to give up not just his name, but also his identity. And so the brothers chose disguises, roles that would test their patience more than any battle. Yudhishthira, the emperor of Dharma, became Kanka, a quiet court advisor who spoke little and listened more. Bheem, the strongest man on earth, became Bhalav, a palace cook who crushed vegetables with hands that could crush mountains. Arjun, the greatest archer, became Brihanala, a gentle dance and music teacher, hiding weapons behind anklets and veils. Nakula, handsome and skilled, became the keeper of horses, calming wild steeds with a soft voice. Sahadeva, wise beyond his years, became the caretaker of cattle, understanding animals like old friends. Draupadi, the queen of queens, became Sairandri, a maid serving Queen Sudeshna, her head bowed, but her spirit unbroken. Thus began their life inside the palace, yet invisible. Days passed slowly. Every moment was dangerous. Yudhishthira had to hide his wisdom, even when wrong decisions were made in court. Bheem had to pretend weakness, even when others mocked him. Arjun had to smile gently, even when his warrior heart burned to fight. But Draupadi suffered the most. She worked quietly, serving the queen, holding her pain inside. And then trouble came. Keechak, the queen's powerful brother, was known for his strength, pride, and cruelty. When his eyes fell on Draupadi, he did not see her dignity. He saw her as something to conquer. Draupadi refused him again and again. Her voice was firm. Her courage is unshaken. He asked his sister to send her to his chambers for some work. Draupadi was afraid, but she obeyed the queen. He tried to hold her, but she ran. She reached the king's court. "Protect me," she shouted. Nobody said anything, and Keechak laughed. Bheem saw this and was furious. That night, in a dark hall, Bheem became a storm. Without revealing himself, he entered his chamber and fought Keechak, and ended his cruelty forever. Draupadi was saved, but the danger was not over. News of the demise of Keechak went to all corners, as only a few warriors could kill him. It reaches Hastinapur as well, where Shakuni, Duryodhan, and Karn discussed that this could be Pandavs. Duryodhan asked the king Susharma of Trigartha to attack King Virat's kingdom. Yudhishthira as Kank suggested the king to take along Bhalav and Nakul and Sahadeva, as well as they are known warriors who served Pandavs. They went and fought King Susharma. Meanwhile, the Kauravs attacked Virata's kingdom as well, stealing cattle and mocking the king. Young Prince Uttar rushed to battle. He took Brihanala as his charioteer as suggested by the Draupadi. He reached the battleground, but fear overtook him as soon as he saw the Kauravs' warriors. "Bhishma, Drona, Karn." Prince Uttar trembled. Then Arjuna spoke calmly. "Today, you will see who I truly am." He revealed himself. Arjuna took his celestial weapons hidden in a sacred tree, and alone. He defeated the entire Kaurav's army. Bhishma smiled. Drona bowed his head. Karn withdrew. The year of Agyatvas was complete. King Virat heard the news that his prince defeated all Kaurav warriors. He was overjoyed. The palace was decorated with flowers to welcome him back. He hugged his son, but he was confused. He told the king that it is Brihanala who has defeated Kauravs, and he is none other than Prince Arjun. King Virat bowed in respect. He apologized to Yudhishthira for his behavior. Yudhishthira thanked him for giving them shelter during Agyatvas. 13 years were over. At last, they were free. But children, freedom does not always bring peace. The Pandavs returned to Hastinapur. The people cheered. The elders welcomed them. But Duryodhan's heart burned. Bhishma requested the king to return Indraprastha to Pandavs and bring harmony to the family. Duryodhan shouted, "Not even land the size of a needle!" The palace fell silent. To stop bloodshed, the Pandavs sent Shri Krishna as a messenger. Krishna spoke with calm power. "Choose peace. Return what is right." But Duryodhan laughed. He even tried to arrest Krishna. And then Krishna revealed his Vishwarup, the universe itself. Kings trembled. The elders bowed. But Duryodhan's ego did not bend. Peace was rejected. The path to Kurukshetra was set. Shri Krishna chose not to fight, but became Arjun's charioteer. A war unlike any other was coming. Dear children, remember, patience is strength, humility is power, peace is always the first choice, but standing up for justice is necessary. The Pandavas tried peace, but when injustice refused to listen, Dharma prepared for war. Next time when we meet, we will be in the Kurukshetra battle. Till then, dear children, take rest. Jai Shri Krishna. Dear children, Welcome back. Kurukshetra is not just a battlefield. It is a place where promises come to die, where teachers face students, where brothers raise weapons against brothers, and where destiny finally speaks louder than choice. Before the war begins, before the conch shells blew, before the dust of battle rose into the sky, the world gathered its greatest warriors. This was not just a war between two families. This was a war between dharma and adharma, between duty and desire, between ego and truth. On one side stood the Pandavas, fighting for justice. On the other stood the Kauravas, fighting for pride and power. And between them stood warriors whose names would echo for thousands of years. Yudhishthira, the man who never wanted war. Yudhishthira was born from Dharma itself. From childhood, he believed, truth protects better than weapons. He ruled Indraprasth with fairness. The people loved him, not because he was powerful, but because he listened. Then came the dice game. He lost his kingdom, his brothers, his wife, his freedom, and still. He did not raise his voice. Children often ask, why didn't Yudhishthira stop? Because for him, keeping one's word was greater than winning. Now on the battlefield, Yudhishthira carries a terrible burden. If he wins, thousands will die. If he loses, injustice will rule forever. He does not fight with joy. He fights because running away would be a lie. Yudhishthira is proof that being good is harder than being strong. He lost everything, yet never lost himself. Bheem, the storm born to break. Bheem was born from Vayu, the god of wind. His strength was frightening even as a child, but his heart was simple. He loved food, he loved laughter, he loved his family, until poison was fed to him, until fire was set to kill him, until Draupadi cried in the court. That day, something changed. Bheem took vows that shook the future. To break Duryodhana's thighs, to tear apart Dushasan. Bheem does not fight for strategy. He fights for unfinished pain. Every step he takes on the battlefield says, this war should never have happened. Bheem teaches us, anger is dangerous, but silence in injustice is worse. When Bheem gets angry, destiny trembles. Arjun, the warrior who put down his bow. Arjun was born from Indra, king of gods. He trained harder than anyone. He focused when others slept. He became the greatest archer the world had seen. And yet, on the battlefield, Arjun lowers his bow, because in front of him stand his grandfather Bhisham. His teacher Dronakarya. Arjun is not afraid of dying. He is afraid of becoming the reason for others' death. That is why Krishna chooses him, not the strongest, not the wisest, but the one who questions his own actions. Arjun fights only after understanding. Doing nothing can also be a sin. The greatest archer who refused to fight. Nakula and Sahadeva, the silent pillars. Nakula was beauty with discipline. Sahadeva was wisdom with silence. Nakula mastered swords and horses. Sahadeva understood time, fate, and stars. Sahadeva knew how the war would end, but was cursed to stay silent. Imagine knowing the future and being unable to change it. They fought not for glory, but because family stood before self. They remind us, not all heroes need applause. The warriors who spoke least, but stood the longest. Draupadi, the fire that lit the war. Draupadi was born from fire. She did not choose war. War chose her. Her humiliation in the court was not just an insult. It was the breaking of Dharma. She did not ask Krishna for revenge. She asked, is this justice? The war exists because her question was never answered. Draupadi fights without weapons, yet every warrior fights because of her. She never lifted a weapon, yet started a war. King Draupadi, pride that created fire. Draupadi was once Drona's friend. When Drona humiliated him publicly, Draupadi's pride shattered. Years later, he performed a yajna, not for wealth, but revenge. From fire were born Drishtadhyumna, to kill Drona Draupadi, to change history. One insult, one yajna, and destiny changed. Drishtadhyumna, born to kill his teacher. Drishtadhyumna was born knowing his purpose. He trained under Drona, the man he was destined to kill. No hatred, no confusion, just acceptance. He is destiny walking in human form, trained by the man he was born to defeat. Shikhandi. The key to the invincible Shikhandi in his last birth was Princess Amba. Wronged by Bhisham's vow, she vowed revenge. Reborn, she became the reason Bhisham would fall. Bhisham could not fight her, not because he was weak, but because his own rules trapped him. The warrior Bhisham could not raise his bow against, born to a hero, trained by legends, but destined for tragedy. Abhimanyu learned the secrets of war before he was even born. While still in his mother Subhadra's womb, he listened as Arjuna explained the deadly Chakravyuh formation to his mother. But destiny played its cruel game. Subhadra fell asleep before the lesson was complete. Abhimanyu learned how to enter the Chakravyuh, but never learned how to escape it. Still, when the moment came, this young warrior did not hesitate. Surrounded by the greatest warriors of the Kaurava army, armed with broken weapons, fighting against unfair rules, Abhimanyu fought like a lion cub among wolves, not because he thought he would win, but because retreat was not in his blood. His fall would become the moment that turned war into personal vengeance. The Kaurav army stood vast and intimidating, stretching across the horizon like a dark storm. It carried the might of the largest kingdom in Bharat, filled with seasoned warriors, royal banners, and weapons sharpened by years of ambition. This was an army built on power, pride, and the belief that strength alone decides destiny. Led by the mighty Duryodhan, the king who refused peace. At the very front of the Kaurav army stands Duryodhan, crowned king of Hastinapur, son of Dhritarashtra, and the man whose choices pushed the world towards war. He was not weak. He was tall, powerful, trained in mace warfare, and fearless in battle. As a warrior, he never stepped back, but inside him lived a storm he could never quiet. From childhood, he watched the Pandavas grow. Loved by elders, praised by citizens, guided by Krishna. And every cheer for Yudhishthira felt like a wound to Duryodhan's pride. His greatest fear was not defeat. It was the thought that someone else might be better than him. When peace was offered, he refused. When Krishna himself came as a messenger, Duryodhan laughed and tried to imprison God. Not because he did not understand the consequences, but because accepting peace would mean accepting that he was wrong. Now, on the battlefield, Duryodhan does not fight for victory alone. He fights to prove that his choices were justified, that his hatred was right, that his pride was worth the blood. And that is his tragedy. He could have ruled peacefully. He could have shared the kingdom. But he chose ego over harmony and made war inevitable. He wasn't defeated by enemies. He was defeated by his ego. Shakuni, the man who destroyed kingdoms without lifting a weapon. Shakuni stands behind the throne. His hands are empty, yet stained with more blood than any warrior's. Shakuni was once a prince of Gandharva. His family was humiliated, imprisoned, starved, broken by Hastinapur's politics. He survived, but survival turned into vengeance. Shakuni never picked up a sword. He never charged into battle. Instead, he mastered something far more dangerous, the human mind. He whispered doubt into Duryodhan's ear. He fed jealousy, fear, and anger, slowly, patiently, and when the time was right, he placed dice on a board. With every roll, he stripped the Pandavas of their kingdom, their honor, their freedom. Shakuni proves a terrifying truth. You do not need weapons to destroy a world. You only need manipulation, timing, and patience. As war begins, Shakuni knows his work is done. He does not need to fight. The fire he lit will burn everything. He never lifted a weapon, yet caused the greatest war in history. Bhisham, the invincible who could not win Ganga Putra. Bhisham stands like a mountain, ancient, immovable, unmatched. He is the greatest warrior of his time. No one can defeat him in battle. He holds the power to choose the moment of his own death. And yet, Bhisham is the most tragic figure on the battlefield. Long ago, he took a vow of lifelong celibacy and loyalty to the throne of Hastinapur. That vow gave him invincibility, but it also chained him. Bhisham knows the Pandavas are right. He knows Duryodhan walks the path of adharma. He knows the war should never have happened. And still, he raises his weapons against the side of truth, because his vow does not allow him to choose justice, only loyalty. Bhisham fights with honor, not hatred. Every arrow he releases is heavy with sorrow. Every step forward is a step against his own conscience. He is proof that vows, when taken without wisdom, can become prisons. He could choose his death, but not his side. Dronacharya, the teacher broken by attachment. He enters the battlefield with bowed head and heavy heart. He is the greatest teacher who ever lived, trainer of kings, master of weapons, royal guru of Hastinapur, guru to both Pandavas and Kauravas. He taught Arjuna everything he knew. He shaped heroes. But Drona had one weakness, attachment. His love for his son, Ashwatthama. He did not fight for adharma. He fought because a father feared for his son, and a teacher was trapped by duty. When Duryodhana promised security for Ashwatthama, Drona accepted, even knowing the Kaurav cause was unjust. Now he faces his own students across the battlefield. He knows their strengths because he gave them those skills, and that knowledge breaks him. Drona does not fight with hatred, he fights with resignation. His tragedy is not defeat, it is fighting despite knowing he is wrong. Karn, the hero born on the wrong side. He stands radiant, powerful, alone, born the son of the sun god, abandoned at birth, raised as a charioteer's son, yet possessing the soul of a king. Karn spent his life proving he was worthy. Every insult carved him sharper. Every rejection hardened his resolve. He was equal to Arjun, sometimes greater, more generous, more loyal. When Duryodhan gave him respect, Karn gave him his life. Even after learning the truth, that he was the eldest Pandav son,
brother to the Pandavas.
Karn did not change sides, because for Karna, loyalty mattered more than blood. He knows the cause is wrong, but abandoning Duryodhan would mean betraying the one man who stood by him when the world mocked him. Karn fights not for victory, but for honor. Ashwatthama, the uncontrolled fire. Ashwatthama enters the war burning with rage, son of Dronacharya, raised with scarcity, starved of love, approval, and recognition. He grew up watching others praised while he carried the burden of expectations. Ashwatthama fights not for dharma, not for loyalty, but for validation. His anger does not cool with victory. It grows, and when the war ends, his rage will not. Ashwatthama represents the danger of power without wisdom, strength without restraint. He is not just a warrior, he is a warning. When anger survives even after war ends. Jayadratha, the man who stopped the Pandavas. Jayadratha was not the strongest warrior. He was not the bravest. But one moment of cowardly ambition made his name echo through history. During the Chakravyu battle, when Abhimanyu fought alone, Jayadratha stood at the edge of destiny. Using a boon granted by Shiva, he blocked Bheem, Yudhishthira, Nakula, and Sahadeva from entering the battlefield. 4 Pandavas stopped by one man. This single act allowed the Kauravas to surround Abhimanyu unfairly. When Arjuna learned of this, he did not hesitate. He took a vow before the setting sun. By tomorrow's sunset, Jayadratha will be dead, or I will enter fire. The next day, the sun itself paused to witness Jayadratha's fate. Children, these warriors are not good or bad. They are human. Kurukshetra is where choices meet consequences, promises demand payment, dharma stands on trial. And tomorrow, Krishna will speak. The Bhagavad Gita will begin. Jai Shri Krishna.